Here it is. BIDU, he got a hit. He had a stop market. 140, 160 is that first low in that first 30-second print between the buyer and the seller with that gap. That's a $1.60 ratio gap. How much does that $1.60 ratio gap pull back into the lower market and we get hit and we take those? So we got it. We're going to get hit down there. We got bids out there right around that 140.55 area, as I recall, or somewhere in there. 140, 75. Yeah, I do. Right now you're making the bottom there on a turn. Right now you're making a bottom. Watch that bottom. If he's got to slide that bid, he's got to walk away from the bid. 20 pennies. No, he can't come back inside. There it is. There's the print between the buyer and the seller. And how do I get that entry and sell it back to the public here and now? Very good job on that opening print. 141.20, that's a dollar spread. He's going to come down into that lower channel. He's going to come, it's a live entry with MMTs. It's a live entry here on that opening bell from that monster gap. BIDU reports quarterly earnings Thursday after the close. They're going to bring that baby down to 140 point. There it is. 75 is coming into play. 76, 76, 81. We're within that penny entry of that first bid and ask. There's that ratio. 142.221. I had a bid at 75. I had a bid at 75. There it is. There's that bid. He got that bid. Now we're going to go below the market. We're going to go below it. We're going to go below it. Okay. There it is right now. We're bouncing off of that bottom. We're bouncing 140.48, 78 printing 86 to the high end. Stop markets need to go in. We're not going to bother with it because the next lower entries are going to be 140 and a quarter. Now that ratio's got to keep ascending. You got to keep the total net exposure. Stop market, just in case we have to get below that 48-cent level. The next one is going to be 28 pennies in there. We got to bounce off of there. You got to watch those prints come off of there. That's what you got to have. That 90, I got a 90, I got a 90. He's printing 90 across that board. See how he slides at 70? They're all over the map. In the first 6 minute, in the 3 minute, as you go through that buyer and that seller, this is how bottoms get put in. You better watch out. That's what breakouts are. Right when you want to put it, you would have been left out of it. I'm not going down that road. You let that thing go up. Now you start putting that stop market order in there. Here you go. We got that low entry. I had canceled it out. Stop market orders. There it is. That is the final low. But there are orders at 139.75, 139.60 that could come into play. You have a little teeny bit of selling in the first 6 minutes. And bottoms will get put in. Stick with it. Stick with that. Stick with those lower entries until this thing is made. I'm going to do a penny prop. I've got a penny prop. We got that entry now. That penny prop it's got to stay above that 140.49 level here. It's slightly right up there. You can see how they're trying to make that market. And this side of the market, the 31s, they got to print. See, someone's buying 1,000 there, 1,100 shares there. You know, that's how bottoms get put in. The rate of change has to take place at a much higher rate of change than the same way that they slid the bid. That's called a sell gap. Well, that rate of change off the bottom has to be strong. And this has got to get above the 140.90 area. Stick with your entries. Stick with them. Just let you know what that rate of change on that opening bell. That sell short, MMT, you're doing quite well. You need a green bar to hold the half bar and the 10 minutes rising. So that's going to be your support level right above the 140 handle. And this is live on the opening bell. So that's your support level. Here's your half bar level. And that's how markets are made in the first 15 minutes. We've only been open for 13 minutes now. And that was the rate of change in 13 minutes between the buyer and the seller. And things are going quite fine for us. Stick with it. This green bar here needs to ascend. and the half bar needs to bounce. So you got the rising 10s and 20s. Those are your support levels here on that price action. Isn't that nice? So you got support, you got price support at your entries, because your entries have support. So don't get stopped on support. They do have that lower support level. You got the 10-minute, you got the 20-minute. You just stick with this thing. Those are your support levels. If anything, in this case, if I come down and test that, I would actually add more shares here. You don't get stopped out here. This is the rate of change. The half bar is 140.24. That's the half bar in this green bar right here. 140.24. How nice. And you have to trade above that half bar. That half bar has, but this is your support level where your entry is. So you got support there. Do you hear me? There you go. So watch that opening bell. You got support at that diamond. That's that half bar. Now he's going to go up. Stick with it. Just remember that the 140 area is the support area. We have just come past the 20-minute rule. The rate of change is that diamond. That means that the BIDU trade is making well off the bottom. Does it like to come back within its volatility and its earnings coming out on Thursday and test toward these minute period moving averages that are rising? It did it here, and it made higher teeny expansion. I'm going to be looking at buying again. I'm still a buyer within the bottom trend structure, because if I do come down and I have a limit order out here and I test that and bounce, that's what it's showing. So my half bar, which is going to be my support level in this one, and I'm going to show that to MMTs, and that half bar is right here, and that's 140.72. When we were covering it earlier over here, when it was testing half bar, that was 140.24. And now we got a higher half bar level at 140.72 within the broader part of the volatility of the bottoming structure within the buyer and the seller and the public in 23 minutes of the opening bell. And how MMTs are looking at that buyer-seller relationship and how that volatility plays a role at support levels. We hit that lower end. One of our targets was 139.75, 139.60, 68 was the low, and there's a dollar up ratio. And one of the things that we look at when we get bottoms is you take a look at the high of the gap in pre-market. So BIDU likes to get sold short down. It has volatility both ways. Right now we're working on what we call a 20-minute price action. What is it really defined under the category? Rate of change. So where does that bottom change? And what is the price? And what is the teeny expansion? And what is the support levels within the bottoming structure of volatility, buyer and seller live, right here, right now. So as we come to the minute period moving averages, we are at that half bar. That's that 72-cent bar, 140.72 cents, and it's 63 by 70, 63 printed. Look, 71 printed above it. There's that live opening print. Look at that. We're coming back at 59s. They're sliding the bid to test those minute period moving averages. That's that volatility. Be on guard for it. So what am I going to do? The minute that I come down here, I'm going to take a look at my teeny reversal. 1 teeny, 2 teeny, that's 3 teenies, and I'm slightly below the half bar at 140.72, and I'm printing 10 cents below at 62. There it is. Now, MMTs, let's get ready to load. Here we are with that BIDU trade. We are finally 1 hour and 9 minutes into the opening bell, getting hit down at the bottom. That's a $2 move off that bottom. That's that shakedown from that high. So, once again, I can tell you, it's about making that market, making that adjustment, getting that $2 burn off of that bottom, knowing the volume entries, knowing how to stop management, knowing how to re-engage when that buyer is more powerful than the seller, which the buyer's not at the moment because it's not above the high of the day. But well, $2 well off the bottom, printing at 68. And that's a $2 ratio off the bottom in price. Okay? How to make a market, how to sell into strength, how to protect profits. BIDU, Thursday earnings report. Markets have been selling off a little bit today. That bull trend gap was in play from the close. It was a sell gap. And now I'm taking profits.